Hi, I'm Mayor Bob Foster, and welcome to Heart of the City.
Hello, my name is Robert Garcia.
Hello, I'm 2nd District Representative Suja Lowenthal.
Hello, I'm Councilmember Gary DeLong.
Hey everybody, I'm Councilmember Patrick O'Donnell, and you're watching Heart of the City.
Hello, I'm Councilwoman Jerry Shipsky. I represent the 5th Council District.
Hello everyone, I'm Councilman G. Andrews of the 6th District.
Hi, this is Councilmember James Johnson, and welcome to Heart of the City.
My name is Councilmember Al Austin. I want to welcome you to the 8th District.
I'm Councilmember Steve Neal of the 9th District.
Steward is a person or entity that provides ongoing care and guidance. We use it for so many things. We use it to talk about the environment and those who do good for the environment. And for us here, I believe that it describes all of you. For you do more than what's asked of you. You take the initiative and you really go the extra mile.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Heart of the City. I'm Suja Lowenthal, Council Member for the 2nd District. For the last 6 years, I've recognized over 350 individuals, businesses, and community organizations for their service to the public, for the good that they do, and for what they do to make living in Long Beach a better place. I refer to them as stewards of the 2nd District for the care and guidance that they provide to their community and to the city at large. This last December of 2012, we recognized 59 such individuals at the Terrace Theater. A fitting place, a truly fitting place for such a remarkable group of individuals. And I'd like you to meet some of these people. With me today, I have Jan Van Dijs of J.R. Van Dijs Builders and Developers, who's here to talk to us a little bit about why he was recognized as a steward of the 2nd District. Welcome, Jan.
Thank you, Suja.
A lot of people in this city recognize the work that you do. You and your team have a passion for seeing really the bones behind an aged building, something that someone else may leave behind. People recognize this in the eBell Club, as well as the other projects that you've worked on. What is it about these buildings, buildings that other people would want to just leave and let demise? What is it that you see in them?
Well, I see several things. One, I see the history of our city, and it's reflected in these buildings and what they've been through and what they mean to the people of our community. I see an architectural elements that can't be reproduced today, but more than anything, I just feel that they provide a texture to our city, and they provide a depth to our city that if we didn't have these as active, vibrant buildings, we would be lacking.
So what's the difference between a very old building and a building that's old that you see something in? What does it do for the city? What is it that you like to reintroduce and repurpose it as?
I think for us, I believe we have a mission, and our mission is to try, for our small part, to revitalize the city through these buildings, and we try to find a use and a purpose. And in this case, I don't think that one is any better than the other, as long as we can find the right mix to recreate it. Some of our projects are real obvious, like if you say, okay, the art theater, clearly there's a map there to where you want to go. It was designed and built and created as a theater, and I couldn't envision changing that. But in some projects, you look at it and you just say, wow, this is just a great building. What could it be? And we sit there and we try to imagine that, and to a large part, we also try to imagine what would benefit the immediate community surrounding.
So you mentioned history. So there's the history that's perhaps known or even has to be researched by you and your team of the building, and then you also said, what could it be? How do you marry the history with a potential that might be relevant to this community today?
Well, I think that for us, pretty much every building we've done is very Long Beach centric. We restore these buildings very much for small business that exist or are developing in our community. So we're trying to find a need in the community and bring like-minded people to fill that need. So sometimes it's an expansion of an existing business here and we say, wow, this really would be a great coffee shop, or this would really be, in the case of the building at 420, you know, I don't think we said this would be a great record store, but it was a great record store, and sometimes I think for us it's just a matter of trying to envision something of community need and match that with architecture.
At 420, you mentioned a record store. Which record store is this?
That would be Fingerprints.
That's Fingerprints, absolutely. An icon here in the city, but really also throughout for anyone who is looking for a record. I think that's one of those very recognizable, very Long Beach places.
Very much
and
so.
Everything you've done is, as you said, very much about Long Beach, but there's a way that you take projects and you take that history, you look at what it was, what it could be, and you reintroduce it.
These buildings are often very public buildings, and they have a place in people's memories. I'll give you an example. When we opened the art theater, reopened the art theater after it had been closed for construction, a couple came and their first date was at the art theater in the late 40s, and their son was with them, and he was 35 years old. So it was a memory to them, and it connects them to the city, and that's what these buildings do. They're permanent, and they make people feel connected to the community they live in.
As you've taught me on many occasions, that this is the city that does not want to be like any other city. It doesn't want to forget its past. It wants to celebrate it. And I want to thank you for everything you've done to be sure that we are proud of our history and we celebrate it and we see the good bones behind the building that was once forsaken, and maybe we won't turn our backs the next time, and with your help we'll be a much more beautiful city. Jan, I want to thank you again for joining us today. And when we come back, I'd like you to meet another steward of the 2nd District, Mary Simmons from the community group AOC 7. Welcome back to Heart of the City. I have the great pleasure of introducing you to another steward of the 2nd District, Mary Simmons from the community group AOC 7. So Mary, for our viewers who may not be familiar with your group, can you tell us what AOC 7 stands for and maybe describe for us what some of the issues were that led you to organize this group?
Okay, well, AOC 7 stands for Anaheim, Orange, Cherry, and 7th. Those are our neighborhood boundaries. And the reason we started was because there was a lot of gang activity, a lot of crime. The streets needed to be cleaned up. And there was one thing that finally set it off. It was, there was a gang shooting. It was on 10th and Walnut.
That's right.
And one of the coffee shop owners, Monair Hilmy, came over. We walked over to the memorial site. We took pictures of the candles and all, and that was it. That was like the last straw. We had to do something, you know. So we started researching the crime statistics, and we realized that there were 16 shootings within 2 miles from AOC 7.
Within 2 miles?
Within 2 miles, yeah.
Wow. And so that one shooting, and I remember you had a candlelight vigil, and you organized all our neighbors to attend. And from that point on, did you become a group?
Right. From that point on, we started meeting at the coffee shop. We started meeting once a week, every Wednesday, just meeting, cramming in the little back room of the cafe and getting together and discussing our issues and inviting different city departments in, bringing in our resources, trying to figure out like what we needed to do, what our issues were and concerns, and finally we just felt stronger. So from then we started meeting on a monthly basis and started growing. And you know, there were people in the neighborhood that lived there like 35 years and nobody ever talked to each other. I lived in the neighborhood like 4 years and didn't realize that I had neighbors across the street I didn't know.
So Mary, I know when you first started AOC 7, it was just a few of you, maybe 3 or 4 of you, and it's a small group of individuals, and what I've witnessed is how very much a very small group can do. What advice would you give other neighborhood organizations that feel similar things that you felt in your neighborhood? Increase in crime, something horrific that just moves people to do something. What advice do you give them?
Right. What I would do is just start getting together, asking your neighbors, local business, finding out what the concerns are. You know, every neighborhood's going to have different issues, but you have to ask, you have to talk to people, find out, and get together with other concerned neighbors, and just finally, you know, get a meeting spot, start meeting, and just go from there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I've been to a few of your meetings, and I noticed that some of your residents who attend are Spanish speaking. So it's very clear that you do a lot to be inclusive. What are the things that you do to be sure that all your neighbors feel included?
Well, we especially reach out because we do have a multicultural neighborhood, and we make sure that we knock on everybody's door, put a flyer at everybody's doorstep, letting them know we're here. And the flyers are in 3 different languages. We have our Khmer, Spanish, English, and we just reach out. And we have some Spanish-speaking people in our community group also. So we also have translators at our meetings. We try to empower everyone by teaching them, you know, who to call. We give them whose job is it flyer, and it tells you who to call if you have different issues. And yeah, we just raise awareness what's going on. We've had the Red Cross in recently for earthquake and disaster preparedness, and we're trying to do some things. We have another event coming up, a literacy fair. So now we're going to get a chance to do a lot more funner things, since we're getting a little more cleaner and safer, and yeah, so we're excited.
So when you start taking care of the basics, you feel like you're able to actually move on to other things. I know the last time I was there, you were starting to talk about childhood nutrition. So nutrition that children can, to improve their nutrition when they are in school and when they're at home, and that's a project that I know that AOC 7's working on. And I want to just congratulate you for everything that you've done. I know you have great hopes for 2013, and I'm very thankful that you look to your city leaders and your city servants as a partner in that. So thank you for joining me today, Mary, and thanks for sharing with our viewers how a very small group of individuals can do very large things.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for being here. And that's it for this edition of Heart of the City. I'm Councilmember Suja Lowenthal. Thank you for joining us today, and we'll see you next time.